Hey everyone, and welcome back. Tonight, I want to share a story about a solo road trip I took a few years ago that turned into a waking nightmare. I love driving, the freedom of the open road, the feeling of exploring new places. This trip was supposed to be a chance to clear my head, see some sights, and just enjoy the solitude. But I ended up finding something far more terrifying than I could have ever imagined. I was driving through a remote part of the country, miles from any major towns. The scenery was beautiful, rolling hills, endless fields, and winding roads that stretched to the horizon. I was enjoying the drive, the music up, the windows down, feeling completely at peace. As evening approached, I started looking for a place to stop for the night. I saw a sign for a small roadside motel a few miles ahead and decided to check it out. It looked a little run down, but I was tired and didn't want to drive any further in the dark. The motel was even creepier up close. It was old and dilapidated, with peeling paint and flickering neon signs. There was only one other car in the parking lot, an old beat-up sedan. The office was dimly lit and smelled of stale cigarettes. The man behind the counter was unsettling. He was old and gaunt, with pale skin and eyes that seemed to stare right through me. He barely spoke, just handed me a key without a word. The whole place gave me a bad feeling, but I was exhausted and dismissed it as road trip fatigue. My room was on the second floor at the end of a long, dark hallway. It was basic and musty, with a single bed, a small TV, and a bathroom that looked like it hadn't been cleaned in years. I dropped my bags and decided to take a quick shower before trying to get some sleep. As I showered, I started to hear a strange noise. It was a soft, rhythmic tapping sound coming from the wall behind the shower. It was faint at first, but it grew louder, more insistent. It sounded like someone was gently knocking on the wall. I turned off the water and listened intently. The tapping continued, steady and deliberate. It wasn't the sound of pipes. It was definitely someone knocking. A shiver ran down my spine. Who would be knocking on the wall in the middle of nowhere? I quickly finished my shower and got dressed, a knot of unease forming in my stomach. The tapping continued, and I started to feel like I wasn't alone in the room. I cautiously approached the wall where the tapping was coming from. I pressed my ear against it, trying to hear what was on the other side. The tapping stopped, replaced by a faint scratching sound, like fingernails scraping against the wall. My blood ran cold. This was beyond creepy. I grabbed my phone, intending to call the front desk, but there was no signal. I was completely isolated. The scratching continued, and I started to feel a presence in the room. Something unseen, but definitely there. The air grew colder, and I felt a prickling sensation on the back of my neck. Then the scratching stopped, replaced by a soft whisper, so faint I could barely make it out. It seemed to be coming from the wall, a low, guttural voice that sent a jolt of fear through me. I backed away from the wall, my heart pounding in my chest. I had to get out of there. I grabbed my bags and ran to the door, but it wouldn't open. I tried the handle, but it was stuck. Panic seized me. I was trapped in this room, with whatever was on the other side of the wall. The whispering continued, growing louder, more insistent. I could almost make out words now, but they were in a language I didn't understand. I started banging on the door, screaming for help, but there was no response. The whispering grew louder, and the scratching intensified. It felt like whatever was on the other side was trying to get in. Then the wall started to vibrate. The tapping and scratching turned into a violent pounding, like something was trying to break through. The room shook, and I felt like the walls were closing in on me. I huddled in the corner, clutching my bags, tears streaming down my face. I was convinced I was going to die in that room, trapped with whatever this thing was. Suddenly, the pounding stopped. The whispering ceased. The room fell silent except for my own ragged breathing. I held my breath, waiting, listening, but there was nothing. After what felt like an eternity, I cautiously approached the door again. This time, it opened. I stumbled out of the room, my legs like jelly, my mind reeling. I ran to my car and drove away from that motel as fast as I could, not stopping until I was miles away. I never found another motel that night, choosing to sleep in my car rather than risk another encounter. I never went back to that part of the country. I still don't know what was in that room, what was on the other side of that wall. But whatever it was, it wanted me, and I barely escaped with my life. That road trip taught me a valuable lesson. Sometimes the most terrifying things are found in the most unexpected places. I never went back to that part of the country. I still don't know what was in that room, what was on the other side of that wall. But whatever it was, it wanted me, and I barely escaped with my life. That road trip taught me a valuable lesson. Sometimes the most terrifying things are found in the most unexpected places.